Welcome back to the Church for Entrepreneurs podcast. This episode of the podcast is a daily study. Daily studies are short Bible studies that's designed to grow your faith. And as you grow your faith, you begin to think like God, you begin to act like Jesus, and you're in better position to follow the Holy Spirit. Let's take a listen to the day's daily study. Giving is more than just sowing money into things. We can sow time, we can sow resources. So there's a lot of ways we can sow. And one of the ways I want to talk about in today's message is sowing time, money, and resources into your business. Let's begin this message by looking at Genesis 26, verses 1 to 2, and then we'll jump to verse 12 to 13. And there was a famine in the land, besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And the Lord appeared unto him and said, Go not down unto Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of. So Isaac is in a place of famine, and he's looking to move to a place where there's not a famine. In this case, Egypt was a good place of prosperity, right? So it's like somebody say, well, I live in a bad city, or I live in a bad town, I live in a bad country, and I'm going to move somewhere else because I hear prosperity is better over there. So what God is saying, no, I want you to stay right here in the place that I will tell thee. Now let's look at what happened in verse 12. Then Isaac sowed in that land and received in the same year 100-fold, and the Lord blessed him. And the man waxed great and went forward and grew until he became very great. So what I want you to see here is that what Isaac did was Isaac didn't sow into an offering plate at church. Isaac didn't give money to somebody on the street. Isaac, under the instruction of God, stayed where he's supposed to be and sowed into his business. And once he sowed into his business, it produced a harvest for him. And in fact, it produced a harvest for him in the exact same year that he sowed. So what I want to get in your spirit is that when you think about sowing seed, yes, it's good to sow in church. Yes, it's good to sow into other people's lives, but also look at what you do for your business as seed. Look at the money you spend into your business as seed. Look at the time you put into your business as seed. And if you look at Mark 4, when Jesus talked, the sower sows the word, there's different grounds that the word is sown into. And only the ground that's considered good ground is a ground that actually produces a harvest. So if God has given you this idea for a business, then this business is good ground. So the money and the time and the resources you sow, it will produce a harvest for you. It'll produce a harvest of profits. So whatever you put into it, those are seeds. And if you think of it as seeds, you pray over those seeds. You speak the word over those seeds and let those seeds produce what it's designed to produce, which is a harvest of profits. So how much should you sow into the business? Well, you control the harvest based on how much you sow. Let's look at 2 Corinthians 9, verses 6 through 7. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Every man according as he purpose in his heart, let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. So this principle Paul is showing us that if you sow a little bit, you'll reap a little bit. If you sow a lot, you'll reap a lot. And also he shows in verse 7 that the amount you sow is based on what you purpose in your heart. So whatever you purpose in your heart, which really is what you're getting from God, that's what you sow into your business. And if you sow a little, you get a little. If you sow a lot, you get a lot. And so just like money into church, just like all the sermons you've heard about sowing into the church or sowing into missions, rewrite that in your mind and include your business. Sow into your business. Reap a harvest of profits. The amount you sow is the amount you'll reap. And as you're sowing, you can't look at the conditions of the marketplace. You can't look at, well, this is not working. Ecclesiastes 11:4 says, he that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap. So what Solomon is saying here in Ecclesiastes is that when you look at the circumstances around you, it may not look like it's a good time to sow in your business. It may just look like, hey, this is a losing cause. But here's the caveat, this whole thing. If you have faith and God called you to do this, it's always a good time to sow. So don't look at the circumstances around you. Sow into your business and reap that harvest. I'm not saying sow debt into it. You only can sow what you have. Even a woman that had just a little, when Jesus was watching the offering plate go by, she sowed just like, I think it was like 2 mice, 2 pennies. And Jesus said she sowed more than everybody there. So it's not about the amount. It's about what it is to you. So sow into your business what you have and allow the spiritual principle of seed time and harvest to be activated. Use your faith to supercharge the little you have to grow into a gigantic harvest. What I want you to get in your spirit is that when you sow money and time and resources in your business, that's the same spiritual principle of seed time and harvest that you think of when you apply it to sowing into your church. So sow into your business and reap a harvest of profits. That concludes today's daily study, and I pray that it was a blessing to you. Before we wrap up, if the Holy Spirit is speaking to your spirit to partner with Church for Entrepreneurs, go to churchforentrepreneurs.com/partner. Your partnership gives us the time and resources to disciple believers around the world to think like God, live like Jesus, and follow the Holy Spirit. Go to churchforentrepreneurs.com/partner, and if you want to connect with our ministry more, go to churchforentrepreneurs.com and join our online community. You guys be blessed, and I'll talk to you soon.